educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew.
What's up, everybody? Y'all, we are live today. This is so exciting. This is our first live. Yay. Are y'all excited?
Super excited.
I'm super stoked. What's up, y'all? Come on in the room. As you come in the room, please like this post, share this post. Also, head on over to our YouTube page, Sister Talks Led by God Podcast, so that you can also like, share, and subscribe there. So, y'all, what's up? This is Sister Talks Led by God Podcast. It is a podcast where we talk truth, transparency, transformation, and the occasional sip of tea with a little bit of honey. But y'all,
sugar, honey, iced tea.
Come on, just a little bit. But I'm Teaa.
I'm Teaa. I'm Brandie.
And today we are talking love once again. It's part 2. We got some more stuff for you. But yeah, tap in with us. We're going to talk part 2 on love. Ladies, y'all ready to dive in?
Ready.
So we are, we have our phones out because we want to be able to engage and interact with you all. So we can see the numbers coming in. What's up, y'all, as you all come in? Please make sure that you say something so that we can say something back to you, right? But anyway, ladies, let's talk about it. So let me go ahead. We live. So we're going to put this out here. Our sister has a cough and she's receiving her healing. So y'all, if she coughs, just tell her, bless you, woman of God.
There you
know what I mean? Just send a little water emoji or something. Come on. So if there's a cough every now and again, it's okay. It's all good.
Amen.
But anyway, so we're talking love once again, ladies. So we're picking up where we left off. Here we go. We're going to dive in. I think a good place to start today is toxic love. Are we going there?
We're going to have there.
Yeah, let's go. So we're here now. Also, happy continued Black History Month.
All year. Yeah.
All year, yeah.
And celebrating all year long.
Yeah.
366.
This year.
So
this year.
I don't like that.
All right.
As long as it ain't the third one, we all right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you all tap in in the comment section. When you hear the words toxic love, what comes to your mind? Trauma came to my mind. What about y'all?
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Unhealthy.
Yeah. Those.
Mm-hmm.
Addictive.
That's good.
Yeah. Bound.
Yep. You know what comes to my mind is example.
Explain.
Because even when Brandie said unhealthy, I thought about how often have we been in something unhealthy that we thought was healthy because of the example we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like until we see a better example, we don't even know that it's not healthy. And sometimes we think healthy is unhealthy because we've only known unhealthy. Toxic.
That's crazy. Like say that like that. Yeah.
That's toxic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'll fight somebody sometimes.
We don't know until I feel like we don't truly know until we are able to see real life examples. I feel like somebody mentioned trauma. Was it you, sis?
That was
trauma. We talked about therapy,
yes,
on our first episode, and I know for me, a lot of times I'm not able to learn until I'm able to hear the things that I may have done or experienced. So it's just like, did I really do that? Like, that was toxic.
Yeah.
On my part, though.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I think we feel like it's automatically the other person that's toxic. When sometimes it be us.
Yeah. Be me. That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
So.
Like that accountability part.
Yeah. Have y'all ever experienced toxic love?
I feel like everybody has experienced a degree of toxic love.
Yeah, like I love that, a degree, because I don't know that I have horror stories, but I definitely have.
Do you feel
some
like
rated stories that I'll be like, Get out of there.
Like more toxic on your part, or like a mix, or like
I feel like
you were more toxic?
Yeah, I think both. And I think, again, so even when I say both, it's knowing levels of toxicity. Like for me, where I would say I was toxic was in being manipulative, which is witchcraft. But I didn't know I was being manipulative or using my family. I now know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've looked back and like, dang, or had to say, don't do that. Don't say that.
I think for me, I get triggered.
Okay.
And so when I'm triggered, so when something triggers me, then I feel like in times past, like I go into or I get into toxic mode.
Okay.
It's just like, oh, you want to go there? Oh, bet.
Okay.
I thought we went
tit for tat.
Yeah, I didn't think we was gonna have to go there, but
since we're here,
I gotta go there.
Okay. What y'all think in the chat? We see y'all in the room. What is toxic love to you all? Have you ever experienced it? What's that look like? Join the conversation.
Were you gonna say something, Chanel?
I was just going to say, it's kind of like, we touched on love last week, and I had mentioned like not really truly knowing what unconditional love was until I experienced it when I had my children. I think that toxic love can be the same way. Like you don't really know that you in it till you step outside of it, or you see somebody else in it and you like, oh, that's toxic. Oh, I can identify that now. Yeah. So, interesting.
Can we just pause and show some love for your bangs? Because your bangs are banging. They bang.
The bang.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like it. I like your hair. I love your hair.
Thank you. I've gotten so many compliments about this old wig, child.
But it's so...
Thank you.
It's it.
Thank you. Love me. Love me hair.
It's
I actually got this wig for free.
How you get it for free?
Love a free wig.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing, but I think I spent so much money, or they gave me like something.
Why is that embarrassing?
Did you get a whole human hair wig for free because you spent so much money? That's crazy. Stop spending so much money.
Based on how much you're
right. But yeah, thank you. I like the little short hair. It makes me feel real grown and sophisticated.
Yeah, it's sophisticated. I like that on you.
Thank you, baby.
Let's see here. What are the people saying? Let's tap in here.
I'm having a janky experience. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, it's being slow.
Oh, like trying to log in?
Yeah, so that I can share on my personal page.
Right.
And keep track of the comments.
Of what's happening.
Yeah.
So what are some things, Tasia, you mentioned the word bound. Like what are... I think
bound, bondage,
like
triggers.
That could keep us
now,
down.
I will say, I feel like I experienced toxic love just from my knowledge and experience of it, just for me, from a personal perspective. I feel like I experienced it more in relationships as I got older.
Okay.
Now, I can't tell you where it stemmed from, because you talked about roots in our last episode. And so I'm working through that, trying to figure out, like, where did it sit? You learned this somewhere. Mm-hmm. Where did you learn this from? Mm-hmm. So, but I will say that I feel like I experienced it more like as I grew older and began to get in relationships, which I haven't been in a ton of relationships, but I don't know that I would call the relationships in and of themselves toxic. Mm-hmm. There were some toxic moments, though, depending on who I was in a relationship with. No, that's cool. I think that certain people can bring out certain things and triggers. There's that word again, in us. And so that's what it's been for me in terms of experiencing toxic love.
I got you.
I think that it's important, too, to note that, like, something that Tia said, when you grow up with it, you may not, because we don't want to just blanket it and say that, oh, that whole relationship is toxic. But if I can be honest, in looking back, like, I think that my parents had a healthy marriage. Yeah. But if I'm honest, I can look at moments and say, that was a toxic trait. That was manipulation. So not to say that, like, just because you can identify moments of toxicity when you were growing up and seeing your parents in relationship, that their whole relationship was toxic, but you could be like, "Ma, that was a little toxic.
Now you went a little bit too far.
You went a little much."
But I think it's even cool, like with what you were saying, like to say that they are having moments, like a word that we kind of discussed yesterday about pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think also the beauty that comes with, we saw these moments, but overall it was healthy, which meant at some point some pivoting was happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like some positive conflict resolution. So we got to see that too. Like, you know what I mean? Or how to navigate disagreement or manipulation, or did I see someone acknowledge, you know what I mean? Like all the things that can come with that. I'm like, it reminds me of something my dad would say growing up. He would say, it's not always the mistake you make, but how you recover.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that as Brandie was talking about her parents, because I'm like, sometimes while it could be maybe a toxic moment, it's a good thing too, because we're learning.
Right.
We have the opportunity.
And not only that, you learn what you don't want to experience growing up. It's just like you see things and it's just like, I don't want to have to go through that whenever I get to that age, or whenever I get into a relationship, whenever I get married, etc.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think so often we just take for granted how toxic the things can be, so minute that you don't really even identify them as toxic.
Okay.
And so I think that we got to be careful to be mindful of even those little bitty things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of something super simple that you really don't think of, but it's toxic. Okay. So here's something that I think could help.
Okay.
I equate toxicity to even little passive aggressive moments. I think that's toxic.
Yeah.
So for instance, like if I'm having a heated fellowship with my husband, a discussion of sorts, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's toxic because you know it's not fine. That's your passive aggressive way of dismissing the rest of it because you don't want to talk about it anymore. But that's a toxic activity that you're doing. It's not super aggressive. It's not overtly, dismissive, but it's dismissive nonetheless, and thus it's toxic because why ever would you want to dismiss the person that you love and you're doing life with, or that you're in relationship with? So, I think that it's important that we point out that some of the things that we do on a daily basis can be a little bit toxic, not necessarily in intention all the time, but just being mindful of those because it happens more than we like to recognize, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
I think too, like another example that we may not see is something is like expecting people to answer the phone right away. And this is whatever, any kind of relationship. But it's like I call, you need to pick up, and it's like, no, like you can wait. Or this is why it's coming to my mind, because like the students, they love to be on D&D. And I be like,
they feel like,
I'm like, listen, if I'm calling, it's because I need some to put me on the list.
Put me on the list. Yeah.
But today I was sitting there with a few of them, and we were talking and joking, and in my mind, as they're talking, or just what we were talking about something totally different, and I was looking at them, and I thought to myself, you can't expect them to pick up when just because you're calling.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
during working hours, I would say, but outside of that, no.
I feel like even during working hours, there's time for like.
I feel like during working hours they should pick up. Like if you're working with me like as an aide and I'm calling you and I need
I'm not
something,
picking up the phone.
Well, yeah,
I can get back to you. But to her point, if I'm calling, no matter, I want you to pick up the phone. That's what I'm saying. There are moments even in the working hours that you can't pick up the phone. And we got to be okay with waiting. You can wait 5 minutes. They're going to call you right back in 5 minutes.
Probably ain't going to be 5 minutes.
I'm like, it's the way, it's like, it made me reflect, like, what is it about you that you think they got to stop what they're doing and pick up your phone call? I had to sit with that. And that's like, I'm not that way.
There were times where I was that way.
All the time,
but I was that way because of expectations of my own. I was picking up the phone when people were calling. Like, and so it was just like, oh, well, I always pick up when you call, but Now that I'm calling you, you ain't picking up the phone.
And I'm not even a picker upper. That's what's up. I will be like,
yeah,
I'll call y'all tomorrow.
The only person that I expect to, so I am that way with certain people. My daddy is one of them, and that's more of a why you not picking up the phone? Like not a necessarily like.
Is it automatic though, or do you like?
Yeah, if I call him, he don't answer
it is automatic because I feel like I've been there many times.
Why you not
just like? I know you not.
What
you doing?
My husband is another one. Like. And not even necessarily on the first call. Like, if I call one time, you don't answer the phone, I'm like, okay. But if I call you like 3 times, you don't answer the phone, I'm like,
what's going on?
What's tea? What's going on? Because answer this phone.
Now, do you automatically think like something's wrong if you call 3 times and he doesn't answer or they don't answer?
No.
Okay.
Just ain't nothing wrong.
So be careful.
Answer the phone.
So it's not like, oh my gosh, like, no, like what's wrong with him? Like, why he ain't answer the phone?
I don't ever think it's like danger or anything. I just what do
y'all think?
What this ninja doing?
What? Listen, y'all, come on, be honest. Do y'all be like, listen, when I call, pick up this phone, whomever, your mom, your parent, your sibling, your friend, your supervisor, I don't know. Do y'all have that kind of a...
I think it goes back to, like B was saying, relationships. Like, certain people, it's just kind of like, if I call my best friend, I expect her to pick up every time.
See, I also have other people that I know ain't picking up the phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's... Y'all get back to me when y'all get back to me.
I always pick up the phone for you.
You get back to us.
Chanel, please.
Because that's the relation. Like,
yes,
because I expect that's the nature of our relationship. Yeah. So it's fine. But like my husband better not never. No, but not okay. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like there are certain relationships in which I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna text her. I know she's gonna text me back tomorrow. Or the next day, and that's okay. But if I text my husband and he don't text me back till the next day,
is y'all coming in?
I'm like, what's up? No.
I think it depends on the nature of the text though as well. Like, if I look at that text and you asking, something that can wait until tomorrow, then it's just kind of like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. Like,
What's up, y'all? So we are talking about toxic, just all kind of stuff, but right now, toxic love. I don't know, y'all. I just want to ask this. This is so off the beaten path.
Okay.
But it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. To be honest.
Make sure that we
be careful.
That we are. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
I want to just some housekeeping real quick.
Come on.
She definitely forgot to D&D. All right. But all right. Oh, hey y'all. Hey.
When I have to pivot.
I pivot.
Don't nobody call me, okay? Just because I could.
Just don't do it.
I feel like
don't.
What's up, y'all? Hey, y'all. Say what's up to us. Thank you for joining us for Sister Talks Led by God podcast. So this is our first live. And so we're going to be doing some lives along with our recorded podcast. So yeah, thank y'all for joining us. Say what's up, y'all. We want to connect with you in the chat. Please like, comment, and share. And head over to YouTube and subscribe.
Yes, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So the question that's being asked is, what do you do when you have to pivot? Like, is it uncomfortable? Do you just roll with the punches? Like, does it make you feel a way? Does it depend on why you're pivoting? There's a lot of shifting happening right now, like for real.
Now, I think it depends on the type of pivot and where I am, like, in my process. Mm-hmm. Like in terms of like agendas and things like that, like if there's, like, say, for instance, like, if I'm at work and there's a certain topic that I wanted, like, I not only wanted, but I needed to, like, I need to talk to my boss about this today. But then he's just like, oh, I'm not going to make our meeting until, like, we're going to have to pivot and reschedule until Thursday. Well, it's Tuesday. And I need these papers signed today. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, you pivot, like, you work it out, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, kind of like, dang, like now I gotta go back to the client and say he ain't gonna be able to, make something up, or you know what I mean? Just say, I don't know, we had to reschedule. So we're shifting things around in the office. And so I'll have to get back to you on Thursday. So, I mean, I think it depends on what's going on and what has, like what I feel has to be done in the moment.
A scenario that came to me, again, I'm around students a lot. A scenario came to me is started out having sex. Kind of something you don't want to do. You want to in a sense because you did it. Like, you're not getting raped. But, but then,
That was so.
well, here we are. And so, but then it's like, man, okay.
Actively participating.
I'm actively participating.
Yeah. It was consensual, yeah.
And then I'm deciding I don't want to do this anymore. I need to pivot. Whether you're the guy or you're the girl or whomever, you're convicted about it, or
you're convicted in the moment, or you wait?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been convicted in the moment.
Did you go ahead and did you go?
No, I stopped.
Okay.
And cried.
I've done both.
So we got
I've done both.
So I said, let's get into it. When you guys
get into it. How did that work? I just in the
I can't do this. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be there.
They left your space. You didn't leave
theirs. That's not what I meant.
Okay.
No, I've left.
You left? Okay.
I've left.
Yeah.
I don't think that I've left, but I like I said, I've done both. I was convicted in the moment and went through with it. And then there's times where I was convicted in the moment and didn't go through with it.
Yeah.
All nonetheless, conviction, like you still feel some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know that I've ever gone into details as to why, how you said I'm not supposed to be doing this. Now there's probably been moments where I was just like, I can't do this, but never explaining oh, I can't do this because of this, not giving a reason. I just say, I can't do this.
Have y'all ever had to pivot, not even sexually, but you felt guilty for it? Not even sexually. So I'll use us. That's just keeping it a buck. We're live today because we had to pivot over the weekend because our sister wasn't feeling well.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And we pivoted it. I don't think it's right, but it's fine.
It's all right.
It's okay.
It is all right.
We're going to pivot from that word.
There you go.
We shifted.
That's funny.
And I just remember thinking, man, I wonder if Tasia's feeling away, that she caused a disruption. Okay, let's talk about it, though.
I was, but it wasn't anything, because I think where I am in my journey and, evolving and things like that, it's just kind of it'll be fine. I know that they'll understand, which again goes to the relationship. Certain people, I didn't feel as guilty because it was y'all were my sisters, you know what I'm saying? Or y'all are my sisters. And so it's just they get it, you know what I'm saying? They understand, they're going to check in, whatever. And we're going to figure it out.
Right.
Now, if it were someone else, I probably would have tried to, I don't know. I feel like a part of the people pleaser in me would have tried to push through, and I would not have been successful though.
Yeah.
So it would have been a waste of time, if that makes sense. We would have showed up, everybody would have, been outside, and I would not have been able to get through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about you all? Have you ever had to pivot? And I'm sure you've had to pivot, but I'll still ask. Have you ever had to? But when you did, what did that look like for you? Was it a hard pivot? Was it not? Have you been affected by someone having to pivot or shift or whatever wording you want to use? Yeah.
I think sometimes there's disruptions too. There's been times to where, there was this one instance to where me and a group of friends, we ended up having to pivot. And the person that we were going to support felt away because we had to pivot and, had an attitude. And it's just kind of hold up now. We volunteering our time to go somewhere to support you. And it's just kind of the audacity
not you feeling
of
entitled.
you to get an attitude. You know what I mean? why? I don't understand why you were mad. We were still, and when you pivot and you're still on schedule, like you're still on schedule, like pivot does not mean like you're delayed. You could still pivot. You could still be on schedule and pivot.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't that we were delayed. So what was the attitude? I think what you said, entitlement. But for what? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like as friends, for what? Like, what was the root of that? And to this day, I don't know.
It's a comment. I can't read it from here.
Oh, let's see. Hey, what was it? Okay, let's see. Someone said, real quick, let me turn it off.
Yeah.
We working.
Like somebody auntie.
The auntie. 100%.
Now, how do I? Someone said, Someone said, I had to pivot from fried chicken to baked chicken. The Lord brought me back, though. Not the Lord brought me back. Boy. Yeah, we did.
It's the bring back for me.
Yeah, so the pivot, you didn't pivot. You repivoted. You pivoted and returned. That's real.
What was the pivot for?
But you know what? This is actually this is what it made me think about. This viewer saying that they pivoted from fried chicken to baked, but the Lord brought them back. To me, it takes me to a place of today the pivot may be necessary, but it may not be permanent.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And I think about, basketball, athletes in the building. What's up? And I'm like, she was styling.
I'm an athlete. Okay?
Yeah, she was an athlete,
but I didn't play basketball.
You was an athlete,
but I was
basketball manager. But I'm like, you the one that made the comment.
Baby, I was balling. Stop playing with
me. But yeah, come on. But when I think about even that, you know what I mean? Depending on who's on the court, I may normally want to dribble left, but I'm pivoting because of the defender over there.
Yeah.
But the next go round, the next half, that player may not be over there. What something else allows me to go to that left,
depends on the environment.
I'm beasting it. You know what I mean? And so even
you gotta know who in the room.
Who's in the room? You know what I mean? And even
and
you're
around.
Or am I able now to go left because there's another level of confidence? So that same defender is there, but now I look at that defender and I'm not feeling defeated.
Yeah.
Or like, let me go back.
Right.
I'm not against the person. Thank you. Intimidated. It's like, no, we going to the left, So it's like, you're going to get this work. You're going to get this work. Left or right.
Left or right.
And so it doesn't matter if so sometimes we have to pivot, but we can't hold on to that always and think that's permanent, because then we may miss something very vital for us in that same space where we had to pivot before.
Yeah.
That's
good to you.
That's helpful for me because it just takes me back to, and I said this to you all before, the Lord saying, when he gave me a direction and then gave me another, I'm like, but you said, and he's like, I did,
and now I'm saying that.
And now I'm saying, that's old news is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, are you going to do what I told you to do in the moment? Like,
I dare to say it's to see if you gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with
I'm trying to see if you're just gonna be obedient.
Yeah, that's good, Brandie.
Because if you don't do A, how you gonna get B?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. You got to do A before you get to B.
Will you listen?
I'm just trying to see if you're gonna do what I said do.
Yeah.
And you failed.
You done missed out on your blessing.
The opportunity.
That's crazy.
So are you gonna listen or are you gonna back? Anyway, what's up, y'all? What
That's
we talking?
Good. We talking all things love.
We are.
And you were talking about shifting and pivoting in the middle of
sex.
Yeah.
Smack.
Cheeks.
Now, was there a follow-up conversation?
Yes.
What we got?
Okay.
Yes, about that.
Yeah.
How did that go?
What's tea?
I'm trying to figure out what's because in the middle.
You feel like where you were, baby.
Conviction in the middle, and then you're like, I can't do this no more. So I want to know what the
I feel like that's how it should be.
Hold on, we have another comment that's so good.
Okay.
It's back to pivoting, but we're gonna go back.
Okay.
But this is really good.
We gonna pivot.
The man we gonna pivot it again. We
pivoted it.
Don't do this. Don't lie.
It's a double pivot.
It's a triple pivot.
Okay. Anyway. So someone said, I've also had to pivot mid-conversation because of who walked in the room and the safe space was no longer safe.
Yep. That's so.
Because that's what I was going somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
But I've been there before. It became unsafe. Like, whoa.
Yep.
Like that's a thing. That is a thing.
That could go too far though, because you got to pivot sometimes because you know you're saying something you ain't no business.
Because that's why I thought it was gonna go like maybe conviction, but that is so good. Like I've had to pivot mid conversation because of who walked in the room. Because where I was safe, I no longer felt safe
That's
in that moment with those with the new people in the room.
Yep.
Wow.
That's good.
Which,
I feel like we experienced that. I feel like there's certain conversations that we would have as sisters that we would not have if other people were around.
And I want to say too that safe that's not, I feel like that could come off as super negative or like you're not safe. But
not to say that person is unsafe.
Right.
Yeah.
And also to say like some conversation, just every conversation isn't for every ear.
correct.
So it's not a safe space. To have that conversation doesn't mean that person isn't a safe person, right?
Yeah.
Not that they're putting you in danger, for lack of better words,
Right.
But it's a time and a place
Sometimes
to have
the information though is not safe with that person.
correct. And sometimes the information is not for that person, but it's not
But you're
safe.
saying it doesn't holistically make them an unsafe person.
Correct.
Just an unsafe ear in the moment.
Correct.
Mhm.
Because it's not for that.
That's real.
Let me be, because y'all know I have small kids. Every conversation that I have, it might not be a bad conversation, but it's unsafe for Bailey's ears because she don't need to hear everything. Right? So in that moment when she walks in, it becomes an unsafe space for her. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not a space for her. And so I think that's okay.
Right.
Now, if it's an unsafe space because you're just like unsafe, you feel that's different. And that should be addressed too. But I mean, I'm in this space where I want to change my perspective on things sometimes. And so I don't want us to, I feel like we can tend to always go to the negative of it and be like, oh, it's an unsafe space. That doesn't always mean bad. It just is not the space for that conversation or the audience.
With that person around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes
For whatever reason.
Yeah, because sometimes for sure it is unsafe. They may not handle that information well. They may misuse it. They may misshare it. All the things. So I think it's wise to be like, yeah, let's not talk about that right now. You know what I mean? Let's not do that. That's very good.
Yeah. Growing up, my mom would say, which
that was not a deal.
Her mom told her, be careful of mouth what you say, be careful of ears what you hear. And that's real.
Yeah.
And I hold on to that to this day. Often I'll come to her or, even not now. Later.
Later. Later.
And y'all know, like,
I know what it means.
She be on. Sis, hurry up. It's later here yet.
I'm going to bring it back up. It's something you want to know, or it's later.
It's midnight. She done fell asleep on the couch. And when she wake up to go to bed,
remember
she was like, sis, remember you said you had to tell me something real quick. What was that, girl?
Yeah, I've had to pivot from something that I said because in the moment it was the right thing, but then a month later it wasn't. And I'm like, now I got to go back and say this because this is so different than what I've already said. How am I going to look? How am I going to sound? What is it going to, am I going to be, is my word going to be trusted? You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. And so I think that's something too, but I think it boils down to like what's leading you or who's leading you. And I don't just solely mean like Holy Spirit or something, but I'm saying is pride leading, is integrity leading, like what, and once I think that's navigated through, it's like, okay, I got to do what I got to do.
Also, I think that we need to start giving more people the benefit of the doubt too. Like when I say that, I mean giving them more credit because I feel like in that situation, you were leading with, they're going to think the worst of me. But they know your character and they know who you are. And so I wouldn't rush to she just lied because I know that not to be your character. Right.
That's good.
So we got to give them the benefit of the doubt to know and trust who we've shown ourselves to be to them. And in that moment, not think the worst of me because I've shifted or pivoted with my conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it wasn't a lie. It was a lie. It was in the moment. Right.
And now it's not. Yep. And we're moving.
Oh. Yep.
And that's okay.
What's funny? What you chuckled about?
Because Brandie said, and now it's not. I'm like, well, it's still true.
Yeah.
It's just an updated truth. I love it.
But now what you said then is not true in this moment. Right.
In the new moment.
In the new moment.
Mhm.
In the new moment, what I said then doesn't apply. So it's no longer true in this moment.
Right.
This new thing is true.
It was true then.
It was true then.
It was true then.
Yeah. And now this is true.
And now this is true.
And that is not anymore for this moment.
And now it's not.
And now it ain't.
No, that's real. All right, what were y'all asking earlier?
We were asking about this conversation that you had whenever you was...
Stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't... Wait. Did she say it was mid-stroke?
Yeah. Essentially.
She did not.
Essentially is the right word. Essentially. It was in the middle. I didn't say that, but
I can read the room.
in the middle. Oh. But no, yeah. I just said what it was. Like, you know, while this is enjoyable in the sense of like the feel, it's not to my inside. And that's more.
It's not to the heart at the moment.
There you go.
And that's more important to me.
Why are we this way? It's
And that's
not on
more
the
important
inside.
to me.
No.
Yeah.
On the inside of your heart.
Your heart. Yes, okay.
Uh-huh. That's why we clarified.
And so,
Oh, well.
Yeah.
and so yeah, it was just simple. Like I'm very blunt and cut and dry. I just said what it was. I won't be doing that no more.
Did they
Did they
receive
feel
it
it
well?
well? Yeah.
No and yes.
Okay.
Receive it well.
Didn't feel
Feel
away.
away. Got it.
Yep. And so that was it.
I mean, yeah.
Then we broke up.
Y'all did break up?
I think that
And never messed around again?
Mm-mm.
I think that's admirable.
Yeah.
Mid-stroke? On a good stroke?
And then I
Chanel.
I'm just saying, that's admirable. Like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, like, you know,
Then I call
because
my
it's not
friend.
easy to do. And that's definitely
Yeah.
like, that's you really listening, like, and
In tune with self.
and adhering to your conviction, because even like you said, you felt conviction but kept going. And,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
I've been in both places.
You've been in both
I felt
places?
conviction
Yeah,
and kept
so
going, and I felt conviction, and I was just like, I can't do this.
I ain't gonna be able to do it. Yeah.
But it was never, now I will say, it was never like, oh man, like, what you mean? Like, trying to convince me, like, come on, like, we already
Yeah.
in that thing, like, we might as well finish. It was never that. It was always,
It did not never be that.
you hear me?
Don't,
'Cause what?
you don't. I said what I
So,
said. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, look, we have another comment. So someone said, real love is worth the pivot. When you find someone worth pivoting for, the pivot becomes the lifestyle.
That sound like my baby
She's
daddy.
worth the pivot. It is your baby daddy.
I think that goes hand in hand with unconditional love.
You
Yeah.
work the pivot too, boo.
It's true though. You know what I mean? And I know in my like later years, like now, probably the last, well, definitely like 6 post-divorce, but even during that time frame, like just being mindful of like anything that I do, I'm somebody's wife. Anything I do with someone, that's somebody's husband.
Mhm.
If it's not my husband.
If it ain't yours,
You get what I'm saying?
That's a
And
good.
so like
that's,
thinking of it from that
girl,
vantage point.
that's
is
good.
Question, since both of, well, she's married and you've been married before, so do you feel like with your spouse you always have to pivot, like with your spouse, because it's your spouse, like you should always have to pivot?
No,
Okay.
like always have to pivot like that. To me, that speaks to something else. Like, why am I always having to pivot? Like, when I always
Meaning like if you have something going on, and every time you have something going on, your spouse has something going on, and you're the one having to pivot.
I think that means that y'all have a communication problem.
There needs to be some compromising.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, no, and my answer remains the same. No, you shouldn't always be having to pivot. Like, y'all, it's a bigger conversation that needs to be had. If that's number one, if that's the expectation, that's crazy. And then number two, if that's what's having to be done, then no, we got to have a deeper conversation, because pivoting to me that
Because I think sometimes people think like, this is my husband or this is my wife. Like, what do you mean? Like, I have to go tend to them because they're my
always consider your spouse 100%.
Yes. Okay.
But always pivot. No.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think too. Like initially, I would say no, but then
because you have some people who are who are that way, and I'm not saying it's wrong, which is why I posed the question. Like, well, how do you all feel? Like, how did you feel whenever you were married, and how do you feel in your marriage? Like, is it every time my spouse calls, like I'm dropping everything, and because it's my spouse, like I don't care what I got going on, like it's my
that's
spouse.
unrealistic. That's an unrealistic
Toxic
behavior. That yes, I do believe that's an unrealistic behavior, and if that is the expectation, that's toxic and unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Because at what point does what I'm important to, I'm just as important and valuable in the relationship as my spouse is, and always dropping what it is that is important to me or that I'm doing to accommodate that person is one-sided.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Now, I will say this.
Some people go ahead, Tia.
Originally, I said no, but then as I'm thinking about it, y'all know me, I'm going to want to go to a route.
Yes.
I'm like, I think before we're even deciding if we're pivoting either one, I think why we need to pivot is the question.
Mm-hmm.
And then determining, I might have to be the one always pivoting. But then I got to ask, why am I always the one? Not because I'm questioning someone, but let's say the goal of our marriage is one of our, core values is healthy financial stewardship.
Yes.
And so because I keep wanting to not spend well, I got to keep pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to keep pivoting.
Yeah.
But now we got to address, so why do we keep being here where you got to keep pivoting?
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, yes, I'm going to have to keep pivoting. So that's why I'm like, there's so many things. That's why I said, at first I said, no, I was like, well, that's kind of blanket.
Yep.
And so in this, so it's like, okay, let's go back to one, what's the goal? Like, why are we pivoting? Because typically for pivoting, because there's some level of, I don't know if disagreement is a word, but it's like there's something, because if not,
there was there's one plan and we're making an adjustment for some reason or another.
And so why are we making the adjustment? So sometimes it may be that one person is having to do it a lot, but that may be not because the other person is wrong, but there may be something on their side that needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
But see, in my mind, when I hear that, I'm thinking you aren't pivoting, and that's the problem. In your example regarding the finances. Mm-hmm. If we were here and we're trying to save money, the pivot is save money. Mm-hmm. You haven't pivoted because you're still spending money, right? So
you're saying she's really not pivoting,
right? In that instance, in that regard, I'm like, well, the problem there is that you didn't pivot. So you need to pivot. You need to pivot.
Yeah, but so I think it's kind of even what the first person said in that comment, though. Like you go back sometimes, and so it may not be. At least it's not been my experience. Let me say this. People who do well with money, they don't make a choice one time. It's multiple habits.
It's a habit. It's a habit
that lead up to. So I'm saying sometimes you may not make the right choice. So it's like, I got to reel you back on in because our goal, our core value is this. And that decision isn't helping it. That's not to say you never make the right one. But today you didn't, so I'm going to have to reel you back on in.
Today
you mad about that?
Don't put them back.
You feel a way about it?
It looks like we got, child, I ain't got my.
So someone said, always having to pivot. Thank you, Pastor Lee. Always having to pivot isn't a relationship. It's relational slavery. It's the word always that's the problem.
That is correct.
If you're always pivoting for them, when do they pivot
for you?
Pivot for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The slave had to pivot to the master. My spouse isn't a slave, and she's worth the pivot. So are you writing a sermon? And he's writing too. Is there a conference coming?
It sounds like you had a motivating morning this morning.
Yeah, I love it. This is good. I'm telling y'all, pivot. This is good. Okay.
Brandie, I'm ready. I'm ready, right? No, that is good. That was exactly what my sentiment was. If one person is always pivoting, then when is the other person ever pivoting? That's not, like, it's a give and take.
And the reason why I ask that is because sometimes you run into situations where people are stay-at-home moms and husband has to work or wife has to work, husband has to stay at home. And so it seems like the person staying at home has to constantly do all the pivoting because spouse's work
is at work or whatever.
Yeah, I want to say more important because in some ways the roles are equal. Like being a stay-at-home parent is a job.
It is. It is.
It's a full-time job.
I say more important, I guess, wasn't the word that I needed to use. But what I mean by that is that they have less room to pivot because they have somewhere to be. They have a job, right? Whereas you're at home, you have more flexibility to always pivot. And this just came to me too while we're talking. There are seasons where
Correct.
I have to pivot more.
Yeah.
Right? But it shouldn't be a perpetual always type of thing.
Or if I'm having to pivot more in this area, there's another area. So it's still reciprocated.
That should be a balance. Yep.
Like, honey, I recognize you had to, you know, stay home a lot with the kids on our day night because ministry is just calling people keep dying or whatever it could be that
Dying
literally well, because I tried to think of something that's like, I got to go. Sister Johnson just died. Like,
oh baby, that's wild.
but it's real. It is versus I may not say it to you because Corey stubbed his toe. Corey can wait. We're gonna
Corey can definitely wait.
you know, bars.
Maybe we're going to get ice cream.
But something that you know
about that stuff toe.
and so it ain't gonna fall off so that those. But it's like, but hey,
Or not
you
at all.
know, I know you're also normally cooking, but this week I'm leaving the office at 5, and I'm gonna pivot. So that I'll cook the rest of the week so you don't have, you know what I mean? So it may not be the same, but there is still some reciprocated attention to that, if you will.
So what's the conversation then? How do you bring it up in conversation then if it's a problem?
Oh, it's a problem. So
that's because Tia is direct.
yeah, but
it's a problem.
Now I will say that I'm
I think what it is because some people feel because I'm not the breadwinner, I ain't really got a voice for real.
See, and I think to me that's all root stuff. Like that's how we think in this marriage. There's already a problem.
Yeah.
Like that's how
there's a deeper problem.
Yeah, that's how we're thinking. There is something else that needs to be addressed to me before we even talk about that part.
Yeah.
Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel
like even
breadwinner?
Like even if I am the stay-at-home mother, because that implication is that our money is separate.
Yeah, that's
we're
married. So many things there.
If we're married, it's not.
It should be.
No, I'm saying though, if we're married, it's not.
It should be together. It should not be separate.
Correct.
If we're married.
Right.
But I think that's
so to me that thinking is either that person is making you feel that way or is saying things to make you feel that way. Or you were, as Tia said, there's a root issue of maybe you were reared and that it was the language or the whatever when you were growing up and that's how it was. Oh, my daddy's the breadwinner and that's just what you're used to, how you're used to saying it. But when you married, if I'm a stay-at-home, if this is our agreement, this is how we've decided we're going to do our life.
Yeah,
and
that's what I say.
I'm at home and you're working. Your money is our money, and
and my name better be on the account.
Yeah, it's a real thing though. There are people.
It is a real thing.
And so I would say a safe way to talk about it, because I'm okay with confrontation. I'm not confrontational, but I'm okay with having tough conversations, respectfully, honorably, all the leads, right? But I'm okay with having them. Everyone else isn't, or their approach is different, and that's okay. You're okay with it, but you have a different approach. And so I think a safe way, I think one, sitting with yourself and saying, okay, what part of this is real? What part of this, if any, is a lie? Because I don't want to major on anything that's not even accurate. You know what I mean? That's something that I've conjured up in my mind out of some place, right? But what part about this is real? What part about this is real? So then once I've identified that, okay, what's a safe way for me that I am comfortable with communicating? Is that saying something verbally? Is that waiting until a date night when we talk about these things? Is it writing a letter? Is it sending a text? I know people say don't text on stuff, but you got to know what's okay for y'all, or at least to get it going. Like if it's your start, but deciding, okay, what's a safe way for me to show up for me? That's what that is. What's a safe way for me to show up for me?
I will say too, in a transparent moment, for me, my husband hates having conversations like that via text. But for me, it's the way that I feel safest to be able to, and I don't want to say safe as if I ever feel unsafe.
Right.
But it's the way that I can express what I'm feeling and say what I'm saying without interruption and get it out. Right. We can discuss it later. That's fine if that's your preference. But the way that it's in me right now, this is the way I need to get it out and express how I'm feeling. And then we can talk about it in a way that you would prefer. But that's just always how I've been. It's just
Sometimes I'm able to express my feelings better in a message too.
Right.
And I'm a verbal processor. So again, even with what you said, it's like, hey, I'm getting ready to send you a book via text.
Yeah.
It's not for you to process right now.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm not expecting that. I just need to get this out.
Yep.
And I know we will discuss this later, how we discuss it.
Yeah,
You are
absolutely.
like that.
And so even with, I know, man, I'm verbal processing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question and realize I need you to sit there and let me talk through. Really talking with me, but I'm saying it's like, I know me, I'm a verbal processor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll even say that, hey, do you got margin to hear what I have to say? Because I just need to find a solution. And I'm asking because I want you to dive in this with me. But I know I may in this moment say something that sounds very concrete. But by the end of this conversation,
Okay.
I'm going to be like, okay, cool, this is where we've now landed, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll say that because if not, that can seem a lot. And I'm like...
And I think for me, a part of the reason why I don't like having the conversations via text is because, like, context, they can be taken out of context sometimes. And it's just kind of like, okay, what did you mean when you said this?
And I want to see you. I'm FaceTime.
Yeah, you are.
Y'all
literally.
FaceTime, voice message, Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. That's the only way we can all and 3 be together on the phone at the same
Don't do too
time.
much.
On video. Just saying.
You did a lot was
I don't. It was a lot being done. Was the truth just
a lot was being done.
Y'all chime in. What are ways that, you know, what does safe and healthy communication look like for you? Like, what are ways that you prefer? What's the way that you prefer to communicate? Because I think even then we have to learn to pivot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I have to process, like internally, I have to process. Yeah, I need a moment to process this alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my husband is a processor.
Before we talk about anything, because
I'm just sorry. I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it right now.
Certain things, yes, but sometimes just like, okay, I need to process this real quick, like by myself.
But
like,
see, if it was a real quick process, that would be better. But if it be a long process, I
feel away
about this.
Like the time I asked a question, I'm not ready to talk about it right now.
Who
They
said that?
You, I was
I
like,
did.
You do that.
I told y'all that. Oh,
hello, this thing gone.
You forgot about me.
Was you ready today? Because yesterday you wasn't. You said not ready. Because I feel like really 3 weeks later we still ain't talking about it.
And have it. But
what was it?
Well, not on
Was there something?
Not here.
that was crazy.
No, I want. Can I have a hint or something? That was something that I had to talk to y'all about that I still not
We
brought
don't
up.
have to when we want you to. It's not our business, but it's our business.
It's my business.
It is. Yeah, it is.
You swear my business is your business. It's like, you swear.
And you think it's not, and I said what I said.
Anyway, we want to hear from you all. So, first and foremost, again, thank you all for being here with us for our first live. You know, what's some things that you all want to hear us talk about tonight?
I will say too, when you said
wrap it up.
pivot, and that's great because my husband and I just had an exchange not too long ago, and I'm gonna give him his flowers because he is a processor, and it does take him a while to process.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
It does. It really does.
I agree.
Because
I would
in
agree.
his
I feel like that's been my experience too.
Yeah, in his
some ways.
mind, this is what he says. Like, I'm processing because after I'm done processing, to me, it may not even be worth talking about.
Yes.
I heard someone else said, I think
but I don't like that because it's still worth talking about to me.
Same.
And so where you've concluded that it's not worth talking about for you, for me, it is still worth talking about. So I'm left kind of like, okay, well, what does that leave me?
What do I do with my
words, my feelings, my emotions about it? And so
I'm not going to hold you. I feel away whenever I have to wait a while.
Same. Yeah. So I'm saying that to say I'm giving him his flowers because we had a situation a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know what y'all talking about, but anyway, I'll find out.
We'll tell you when we wrap this up.
Well, all right, it's been good, y'all.
But a couple of weeks ago, we had a situation, and I was just like, you know, can we talk about this? And he actually talked about it in the moment.
Come on, brother.
And I know that that's a stretch for him.
Yeah.
Right? But I appreciated that he was sensitive to my feelings and how I process things and talked it through with me in the moment. Yeah. And I made sure that I went out of my way to say, babe, I know that was a stretch for you. Yeah. And I really appreciate that you did that for me.
Yeah, that is good.
You definitely got to reward what you want repeated.
You do.
I was going to ask you, did you?
I did. In many ways. Amen.
I knew that was coming.
We know that was
I knew that was coming.
I love you, boo.
We know you when you put the cherry on top. We know.
Literally.
So you haven't already.
This is the top left. My God, she married, child. So hey, this is real.
Listen, sex is good.
Yeah,
Sex is healthy. Sex needs to be discussed. Y'all, we want to talk about all the things. We want you to know that what the world considers taboo, we don't.
Should it be good?
Right? Yeah.
But let me finish.
Don't say that and then pause. Like you need to keep. What you saying, girl? What?
Should it be good if you're not married?
Yeah, I think yes. The answer is yes. I think it should be good.
It should never not be good.
Yeah, I think it's good because our flesh is being pleased, right? Yeah, I think it's out of fear.
It should never not be good.
Because if it wasn't good,
Baby, I had some terrible
Throw the
sex.
person away. Throw it away. Throw it away.
You ever had terrible sex?
No.
Baby, I have had some bad sex, and I just don't. Yeah.
So I think because our flesh, because again, if it didn't feel good, we wouldn't do it, right? And so I don't think, I don't think it was ever intended to not feel good.
Because Penny is crazy.
I don't think it was ever intended to not feel good. I just think it's about being done at the right, time. But that's why it's done. I want to be clear. I am an abstinent woman of God. Okay.
Yeah, amen.
So I want to be
proud of you. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think that's a good place to pivot to, because I think that you were saying, or what
your man said she did that with some kissy faces, so I assume that's to you, not his sisters.
Definitely not.
Yeah, she did that. She did that. Y'all know he talking about this a lot happening. Well, praise the Lord. We glad this satisfaction happened.
Oh my gosh.
I think you were going to pivot to too, where we were talking about in the middle of like the conviction thing.
Yes.
And, like what happens when you're in relationship, right? Like let's say
like
we
a committed
engaged.
relationship?
Yeah, we go together real bad or whatever. We live together or whatever. And now we've been doing what we've been doing for how long we've been doing it, and now I'm convicted. And
or you don't live together and then y'all move in together.
It's just been so long.
And we've been doing it, but now I'm feeling a conviction about it, and I don't want to do it anymore.
I think you pivot. So two things came to my mind. The first is I remember sitting at the kitchen table. And in this case, it wasn't about sex, but we had moved in together, and we were like maybe 8 weeks from getting married, and I had just moved back from Maryland. It was one of those deals where I moved to the condo where we were going to live together. But he had, he would maybe come over like 3 or 4 times a week. But then it was a toothbrush being left, all the things. So we agreed.
Gradual.
Yeah, we agreed like, hey, we're not going to move in because I didn't want to do that. And he was okay with that. It's not that he didn't want to because he, grew up a little different. But it's like, okay, no problem. But then when that video game came, I knew. Baby, that video game for them clothes. I said he didn't move in. So that's not gonna do is leave that. When that game made it, baby. And so, this is a lot happening. The man of God said, "Can y'all pivot from this podcast so my wife can pull up? She'll be home in a minute." And so, but nonetheless, I remember sitting at that table, and we got a call from our premarital coaches, and they were saying, "Hey, we see on y'all's application that you have the same address, and we really want to do this thing right, and to we're not."
That was a good observation.
Yeah, but to be able to move forward for us too, we want this thing to be right. It's just a few weeks out. Can somebody move? Stay with a parent, with a friend, whatever. We could discuss what that even looks like. Like it's not don't talk, don't. But it's just like we want y'all to have a right foundation.
I love it.
And that became a disagreement in the home because it was like, no, that's dumb. And I remember talking to the Lord. I talked to my dad, and my dad said, "You expect him to do something he wasn't raised to do. So you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to pivot, if you will."
Yeah.
And I remember hearing the Lord say this to me, and this is what came to me with what you said. He said, as difficult as this may be, he said, what beautiful joy there will be when you can tell your children, because you can understand when they go through something similar, to say, Daddy and I we had to pivot before.
Yeah.
We know what it is to be in the middle of something, but yet still get to say, I still get to turn around. That's literally repentance that just came to me.
Yeah.
But you can literally be in it and you still get to make a choice to do the right thing.
You still have a choice.
So I think you pivot. The second thing that came to my mind is something I heard Pastor Herbert Cooper say. He says, what do you do? He said, he was preaching a sermon. He said, what do you do when both decisions are tough decisions? And the example he gave was literally, I remember this, it sticks with me because I use it for myself. You're an accountant at a job and your boss is saying to fudge the numbers. And if you don't fudge the numbers, you lose your job. Yep. And this is your job. This is, I mean, this is how you pay for your kids' school. It's the money.
You can't,
but you don't fudge these numbers. Though. And then he says, but then the other option is you do the right thing. You what's morally correct. You know, that's how you flow, you know. And what do you do when both decisions are tough? Because let's be honest, as moral as we can be, that don't make that not be a tough decision. Not at all. You know what I mean? For some people, you know, and that's okay. But you choose what's right. So again, you pivot. If I gotta lose my job to keep my sanity, integrity. My moral, my integrity, my honor, and all of that,
I've done it before.
I gotta go. I'm not saying that's not difficult. Maybe it was difficult as I processed, but to actually make it, this is actually a very easy choice. You know what I'm saying?
Easy choice.
So yeah,
I think when we live,
easy choice.
It makes it harder though when you're living in a world where people are living paycheck to paycheck, so they don't have the room. You know, they don't have the bandwidth to.
Ooh, baby, that's a
to go the route that they would like. You know what I'm saying? They would like to go like
heavy in that instance.
You are,
because you know you have to. Your prayer has to be, Lord, you know my heart.
Yep.
And I'm doing this because I want to be upright and in good standing with you. So I'm expecting, and it's okay to expect him to do what he said he was going to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And provide for you. So you got to give him back his word. Lord, you said. So I'm standing on what you said. I'm walking by faith. I'm going to go ahead and do what I know you
because I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm not going to have the money to pay this.
And I need you to make a
bills and rent.
Yep.
And he will.
Yeah, he will.
Because you're trustworthy. Because I think it's also, you know, so what's in us comes out when we're squeezed. And so that's also a good moment to see what's in you. Like, you know, like, is this really a tough choice? And I'm not talking about where it's like, all right, no problem, Bob, I'm out of here. You know, it may not be that, but it also may not be, I'm wrestling.
Yeah. It's definitely,
like,
okay,
where's your trust?
Well, I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
Not that that's not hard.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to
figure it out.
Yeah.
It's going to get worked out.
Because you thought, see, and that be
I've done that, and I felt bad about the decision though, even though I knew it was right.
Hey, Pamela, thank you for joining us. Hey, y'all, what's up?
Hey, y'all, hey.
Hi.
Yeah, but no, my
husband said he leaving the door open. So, ladies, we're talking about pivoting. We're going to be pivoting off here real soon. We're loving this. We hope you all have been as well. But we're talking about all the things, and kind of pivoting has kind of become the nucleus of it. But just all the different ways and areas that we've had to, and sometimes the difficulty of that and the not so difficulty of having to pivot, you know? So what we were just kind of discussing as you're joining in is, you know, what does it look like when you have to, was it kind of like make a like you've been in the middle of something for so long. Like, I mean, you've been doing this.
It was the engagement question.
The wrong thing, if you will, for so long. It's like, what do you do when
you decided that I no longer want to do the wrong thing?
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
What if this is your will?
And more
then he'll still be there. She'll still be there.
Specific, we were talking about in the context of having premarital sex or anything like that. And then you've changed, you've been convicted, and you like, we can't do this no more. Yeah. What does that look like?
Yeah. I think it's a conversation. I think it can be. I think it's factors with that. You know, so if it's been toxic, we used that before. If it's been that up to that point, it might not need to be. It might just be a get up and leave.
Yeah, y'all just might need to be. Yeah.
But then if it's like, man, I know who I'm supposed to be married to or with, and we've just, we've just found ourselves, we made a few mistakes along the route. It's okay.
Yep.
Like, let's have a conversation. Let's pivot and let's move forward.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Just
gotta go.
Two-piece them.
Yeah.
Two-piece them. That's good.
Yeah, that is.
I do think the pivot is necessary, though.
Yeah. You know? In one way or another. Whether it's the pivot to do right together or pivot out. To do, individually.
I've had to pivot even in the middle of a conversation. Like someone mentioned it earlier, but from a different perspective of, I got on this call maybe to tell you something, and Holy Spirit is like,
not now.
And it's not.
I've been there before too.
It's it's just like no, or just different things. Or I may got entangled a little too much in gossip. Like that's not my thing. I don't care to do that. Used to, but I don't care to. Yeah, just certain. I don't care. I don't want to be in these conversations. So I've had to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go check out the sun outside. Let's come. Holler at me, y'all get done. You know what I mean? I don't know, anything to get out of there. And depending on the person, I might be like, y'all, this ain't. Let's not do this.
Yeah, because depending on the relationship, you have you can hold somebody accountable for things that you know that they shouldn't be engaging in either.
Yeah,
and that's okay. And if in the right mature relationships, it will be received.
I agree. And I think
I just won't say anything though. Sometimes I feel like I've gotten to a point to where I just won't say anything. Like if I get quiet,
you know better.
Yeah,
like
if I get quiet, it's just like
yeah. And I think a good
you know who you can say things to and who you can't.
A good
who will receive them well.
I think a good pivot can be a sign too of being a temperature setter or not, like a thermostat or a thermometer. You know, like do you?
Because then certain conversations they won't have around you because they know you don't play that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I heard one of my friends, shout out to Dwayne Walker. He said one time, he says, "What you don't address, you bless." And I had to personally be, because I'm like, oh, I'm a lead. Then I'm like, but what I don't address, I bless. And that doesn't mean every time, but it's like sometimes for Teaa, I sit back and say, man, why do they keep feeling comfortable having this conversation in my presence? Okay. So I'm like, no, y'all can talk about that, but not over here.
Like
so
you said, like I haven't made it clear that this is not something that I condone or that I'm okay with. So I need to do something different because y'all clearly don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
What? Just something. What? What
nothing. I ain't got nothing.
Can we just pause? Y'all don't understand. Let it out. Let it out. But you haven't caught the whole live. I thought that was something to celebrate. Someone said forgiveness is a pivot, especially after you have been hurt. It benefits all parties involved. So true.
Absolutely, it is.
Forgiveness.
Yeah,
that's a strong pivot. That's a strong pivot. Yeah, that's a hard pivot. That's one of them.
Especially depending on what the offense is.
Yeah.
Shout out to the best.
Oh gosh. Okay, y'all. We in this thing. We're live over an hour now.
Have we?
We have been. Do you always? We can keep talking, but do you all have any?
Yeah, y'all got it. What do y'all have any questions for us? Any things y'all want to hear us talk about?
We value your feedback.
Or any encounters or experiences you all need help navigating or anything like that. Yep.
Because we was talking all things love. We've talked pivoting. We've talked.
Yep.
All the things. The toxic love.
Toxic love.
Oh, now that we have some more people on, what y'all got about toxic love? What y'all, any toxic traits? What's tea? What is tea? Yeah. Listen.
What?
Nothing.
Say it with your chest.
I can't.
You can't? Okay.
No. So let's talk truth, transparency, and transformation. Y'all have one?
Ooh. In this moment, let me think.
Truth, I'm excited to have sex.
Me too.
To make amazing love with your
husband. Yep,
that's some good truth.
That is a real good truth.
Yep,
and that's very transparent.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, right? Because y'all, I don't know me. Y'all do. No, hey y'all, dog. I'm trying to get to know me. Hey guys. But yeah, that's something that's been. I'm very sexual. Not literally. I need to be clear. I've been abstinent for
a long time.
Years.
Yeah.
And it's important to me. Let's talk about why I've been abstinent.
Let's talk about it, sis.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've been abstinent. It started out because probably more of a...
Let it out. You trying to hold your cough.
Yeah, please cough.
Okay, go ahead.
When you
I'm listening to you. Oh my gosh. No, don't put me on.
I'm like,
a pop on demand is crazy.
Blow.
Like y'all bullying me.
Last blow. Hard. Just one last
good one. One good one. That wasn't good enough. One more time.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I have, and it was important to me at first because the importance levels have changed. They've not. The importance of why hasn't, but they've been added to. But when it first happened, obviously it was after divorce. I did not want to. I remember saying, "Man, I don't want to." I had a new bed, if you will, in my new apartment. And I was like, man, I don't want to make love or have sex with anybody in this bed that's not my husband. So it was kind of that. And then, of course, it was a factor of like, I believe in the Lord. I'm a woman of God. Like, it's a sin. And so at some point, that was a little bit of fear, but it was more so like, it's not worth it because, again, I've been in a space where I was convicted and I didn't want to go back to that. I was that kid. I'm that person. It's like once I'm burned, I'm like, I ain't trying to burn myself again. That's hot. I'm good. I don't have to keep learning that lesson, most of them. And so there's some. That's real. And so it was that. But then as my relationship with God continued to grow, and as I continued to grow in the office, if you will, of a daughter, as Pastor Melanie LeGrone says, shout out, it was less about this rule or less about what I shouldn't do. And it was more about what I had the opportunity to do, which was preserve myself. Which was to honor myself, which was to honor God, And then it became a fruit of what my husband would bear. I was never doing it for him. Right. And I think sometimes that can be toxic, that we're waiting for someone. But it's like, I think they can benefit from the wait, but the wait should be out of obedience to God. And that's so it was that. And then, again, as I'm growing in a relationship with the Lord and with my body, I'm like, man, I'm somebody's wife. And I want him to be able to be like, my wife chose to abstain, because these are choices, because it ain't been, because it ain't options. But then even, let's be clear. Y'all funny. But then, is this thing on? Tell him again. It ain't because you ain't got options. It's not, even when the Lord told me no more dating, he's now open back up to that. But it wasn't because I could, or it wasn't because the options were there, but I had to choose. And it takes faith to even make those choices, especially when you want to, especially when I'm speaking of me. I believe that I am a beautiful woman. I think I'm a good catch, if that's a word, a phrase that people can use. I'm fun. I'm a lot of things, Absolutely. But to have to be like, I can't, it's like, now say, but you still saying that, Lord, and he was at the time. He's not now. But it was, it was that for me. And so I think one of the biggest factors of where I am now, and something that's, let me say this, something that used to be a, not a hardship, but that used to be like is now like a blessing. Like, I love that. I love that my husband and I are going to get to have this conversation. I love that he's going to get to see the fruit of the life that I've lived, right? And the things that I've chosen, and I'm going to get to see that in his life too. Absolutely. I don't know what his purity walk looks like, but I do believe it's a surrender. I was going to say it's a line. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are lying. And so so that's why I've chosen that, because at the end of the day, I'm somebody's daughter. God, right? And then I'm somebody's wife, and he's somebody's husband, and I don't want to mismanage somebody else's husband, right? Because really, until somebody, if the person that you would be sleeping with, if it's not your husband, that's somebody's husband, man, And until he's somebody, until I'm married, that's my brother. And and I don't mean that to be like, until it's not your brother. If we enter that space, you know what I mean, of courting and all that, but it's just like, I think, because sometimes I think we meet, and I know I've been there, we meet someone and it's instantly like, ooh, is this my husband? And I think even that comes from a toxic place. Because why are you so thirsty to be married? Like, like immediately. I think that's a toxic trait of mine. So that's a moment of truth and transparency. But not in like a obsessive way. It's just kind of like, when I meet people, it's just kind of like, is this my husband? Yeah. I'm thinking of like, I'm putting our names together like, I'm like, is this my friend? I'm playing MASH. Like, why am I playing MASH? You said MASH. You remember MASH when you right out? You remember that? MASH? We'll talk about it later. I don't remember. You I thought that was a lot. You did a whole lot right there. Because you did a lot. Well, MASH is kind of like, MASH. You're joining in on the what was it? MASH was either you live in a mansion, an apartment, a shack, or a house. Oh, I remember that. Maybe we didn't call it. You remember that. That's why I'm like, that was what we did. Like,
not match literally, but like I think sometimes in my mind, like it's just kind of like,
Because I was like, sis,
we
you
look
taking
cute
the paper
together.
out?
No, I'm not taking up. But where I am now, I am beyond the we look cute.
That's crazy.
No, I was just saying that. I'm beyond the we look cute together phase. You know what I mean? Like it kind of like you say all the time, like the fruit. I will say a moment of transparency for me is that I have not been a good inspector of fruit. Y'all know me in terms of men.
girl.
Y'all know me. I am so picky. Like I am extremely picky with most things in my life. You know, I'm picky. I'm peculiar. I'm particular just about a lot of things. I'm a whole perfectionist out here. But I had to literally sit with the fact that, girl, looking back, you have not been a good inspector of fruit in terms of men. Why is that?
Yeah.
And so I'm having to get to the root of that.
Ooh.
So I'm just like, girl, you inspect everything else. You go to these restaurants and you inspect this food.
You
like
got plastic.
I eat plastic off the plasticware. So it's just like, what is it about the men
That was very...
that you have not, like, I have not inspected the fruit.
That was
Very
very
well.
transparent.
So yeah. Mhm.
That was very transparent.
Yeah.
So that's my moment of transparency.
I definitely, so my transparent, this ain't nothing deep or nothing, but I definitely, when I met my husband, told him he was going to be my husband.
I remember that story.
And I was 16.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lord. Shout out to you for doing your big one.
Yeah.
Big G, not the little G.
Period. Let me see. A truth, a transparency, or a transformation. I don't know, y'all. I'm struggling on today.
That's okay.
We have one every time.
I mean, I feel like I want one every time. I need to be transformed.
So that's a transparent moment. You want a true transparent?
I want a true transparent. Listen. Yeah.
No, but you actually shared one earlier. You literally said transparent moment when we talked about your communication style.
Oh, yeah.
When you talked about...
I just jumped. I was too early.
But you said,
That's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So, yeah. That's definitely a transparent moment. And I had some transparent moments for my husband in this too. Sorry, baby. Shout out to you. Telling y'all your business, your little business. But, I think that it's very important, and I'm transforming even still. Like there are things that I'm learning about myself and trying to identify to be able to better communicate, because being an inspector of my own fruit, right? If you're saying something, it does no good for you to always say like, I'm a communicator, or this is something that I do, if your fruit doesn't reflect that.
Just be what you say that you are. You don't have to say it.
If I'm such a strong communicator, because you say this all the time, communication is on the communicator, right? So if they're not getting it, then that falls on you as the person that is communicating. Yeah. So just having to inspect the fruit of my communication with everybody, even, personal relationships, professional relationships, and realize that maybe it's not as sharp as I thought it was. If I'm having to reiterate certain things, or if I'm having to if I find myself repeating things all the time, then maybe you didn't maybe you don't communicate as well as you thought.
That's good.
So stop saying I'm a communicator.
Yeah.
And just communicate better.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know. Yeah. So I said all that to say, I'm learning and getting better in the communication with my husband, and trying to acknowledge and appreciate when people around me are doing the same thing. And for me, that moment that we had a couple weeks ago was the fruit of all of what I just said.
That's good.
That's good. That's
good.
Very good. And I love that you acknowledged it.
Yeah.
In the moment. That was good.
You.
Yeah. This has been good, y'all.
This has been good.
We got any new comments?
No more comments. All the comments we have.
No, that's all the comments.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, we're gonna go eat. So thank you all for joining us tonight for our first live.
Yeah. I hope y'all can hear us okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so too.
They could.
They could.
Yeah, I feel like somebody definitely would have said something.
For sure.
Yo, man.
And
they've been commenting.
My man.
But thank you all.
Y'all like our t-shirts?
Yes. This is Tasia. Oh my God. Woo, woo.
Listen,
Merch coming soon.
I guess I was real boring with mine. Y'all dressed y'all all up.
Boring is
I was
crazy.
giving basic.
We're not doing
Because
this.
the bangs are the standout. We love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Please go to our YouTube channel and
Please subscribe.
Yes.
Turn on your notifications.
Yeah. If y'all can subscribe, the next time we go live, it could be on our
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, because Facebook, no. And I'm not being shady.
Well, thank y'all for being here, Facebook people, though.
No. No, that was
Not to
shade
the people.
them. It's just
Facebook, like the
live
platform.
Y'all, I knew that. I was thanking the people.
All right.
Because we are on Facebook.
Amen.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And follow us on here too, please. Actually, we're on all the platforms.
We
We're on Facebook. What's the other ones? TikTok.
We are.
And
And YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming to a Spotify, Apple Music, and all that near you.
Yes,
Near
we
you,
are.
real soon.
Absolutely.
You know,
Live in the living color.
Amazon,
Yeah.
podcast.
All right,
That's
y'all.
it,
We
y'all.
love y'all. Peace.
Bye.
See y'all next time.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.